Rockstar, are you ready? Rockstar, are you ready? All right. Hello, y'all. My name is Josafat Emiliano, and this is Rockstar. Hey, Rockstar. Hey, Rockstar. Hey, Rockstar. Hey, Rockstar. Hey, Rockstar. 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 Hey, Rockstar! Welcome! This is a storytelling platform designed to empower you to build yourself up physically, spiritually, mentally, socially, and financially. Why stories? Because stories live on. They are eternal. They are a powerful reminder of what one can accomplish when opportunity presents itself. So listen carefully, learn the lessons, apply them to the big five, and become the rock star of your industry. Yep, we're back. We're back. And look who's here with us today. It's Miguel, my faithful partner in crime, the jokester of all the jokesters. I'm going to take this off because whenever I am just doing voice, I really don't need it. Um, welcome. Welcome to Hey Rockstar. If this is your first time, not much to say rather than this is a show, it's a storytelling platform. A place where we share powerful stories and add value to your life so that you can grow physically, spiritually, mentally, socially, and financially. So then you can go and become the rock star of your industry. I want to say hi to all the first timers who are listening for the first time. Actually, I do these on again. Kind of helps with the aesthetic of the whole feel. Um, Welcome to, if this is your first time, please do the thing. Whatever you're watching, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or Twitch, or if you're listening to us through podcast, wherever you stream your podcast, I'm going to pause real quick. A semi truck was driving by right now. I'm not sure if this picked it up or not. If you are listening right now, please let me know if there's a hum on my mic or not. Well, actually, you don't have to let me know if there's not one, but if there is, please let me know because my phone's off, so you can't call me or text me. It happens. It's an older mic, but don't worry, guys. I got a new system coming in, so that I'll be able to start using the mic that was gifted to me by my dad. Speaking of, saludos a mis padres que nos están watchando, nos están mirando desde Texas en este momento, a esta hora. La plática que tengo para esta noche va a ser algo, bueno, un poco de lo que ya hemos discutido, ¿cómo se dice? Hemos hablado un poco de los planetas. So, guys, let's just jump right into this. This is episode 24. We are almost halfway. I believe next week we'd be halfway with 25 episodes, because I believe my goal is to get 50 episodes for the whole year, one a week minus Thanksgiving, and maybe another one I'll take a break out. Don't know yet. However, 50 episodes was the goal. Next week's gonna be 25, and even I don't know what we're gonna have next week, but it's gonna be an awesome show. I can guarantee you, packed with value. But this is episode 24, and this term, or this idea has been on my heart regularly. As some of you guys know, that I'm aggressively working on launching full time my Keynote speaking business, and one of the things that they're asking is what field am I an expert in, or do I feel that I can help people out? And we had to do a lot of searching. And if there's one thing that I could say that I'm an expert at, is failing. Actually, last week, the episode the show we had with Greg Ferguson, he brought a good point about how we need to not fear failure, embrace it. Actually, he even went so far as to say he would purposely do things that he knew he was going to fail at, just to get that out of the way, to get that experience out of the way. And I totally get that. And so this week I just been meditating and thinking about failure and how that works, or who's been affected by failure. And so I've been working on my elevator speech, my introduction. When people ask me, hey, so Josafat, what do you do? The joke used to be, I would say, well, I like to sleep in, I like to eat good food, I like to crack jokes with some friends. And they're like, wow, you do that for a living? Like, well, I mean, that is living, that is part of life. And then I know what they meant. What do you do what do you do for money? What do you do to pay the bills, kind of situation. And I don't know where our jobs became the definition of who we are, but it goes back historically. For example, the name Smith, the last name Smith is usually, or Smithson, was someone who was the son of, or daughter of the Smith, the blacksmith, or trying to think, fisherman. Was someone, was of a family of people who would fish. Or I don't know if fisherman is a last name or not. I made that up. But you get the where I'm trying to go with this. How people were defined by their occupation. However, I guess what I want to share with you tonight is just an idea that I'm working on to present to people of larger groups with this concept. What do you do when Plan A doesn't work? So sorry, I go on tangents. My elevator speech, Josafat Emiliano. I help you find the confidence to change when the life plan failed you or isn't working. Now does that sound like a TED Talk you want to come listen to? Don't worry, Rockstar. Let's dive a little bit into this. I have notes, but honestly, there's not that much notes. My notes only have 3 points. My father speaks on messages of 5 points, but he also has like 7 to 10 sub points under each point. Okay, so basically, from here on down, those are the only notes I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 14 words in my whole notes. Let's fill the time up with these 14 words that I have in my notes. All right, so episode 24. When plans A through Z fail you. Failure happens. Life happens. Heck, 2020 just happened. And I don't want to get into too much, but I was affected by it. Other people were affected by it. And sometimes it's not even our fault when something doesn't pan the way that we expected it to. When the plans that we made for our life goal, and we worked hard for this, suddenly crumbles, evaporates, you lose your dependency or whatever you were dependent on because of something that is out of your hand, out of your reach. Now, sometimes things do happen because we are careless and we just are foolish with our choices and or just don't really take care of ourselves, or we seek the motivation only and not discipline ourselves. It happens. But I want to share a few plans that I believe are what people tend to go to, when they decide to start their life, what plans people choose to pursue. And unfortunately, some of these plans might fail us. All right, so let me just get straight to it. I just got a plan A, plan B, and a plan C, because we got at least 3 plans, right? Plan A, plan B, plan C. So let's start with plan A. Now, to me, I'm going to use acronyms because that's the motivational speaker in me. So for me, A represents adopted. Now, here's the amazing thing, and I've actually was listening to other people talk about this. I'm not the only one who this has crossed our mind, but a lot of people, myself included, we start our plans by what is around us. Like sometimes we don't even live our own lives. We live either our parents' lives or our heroes' lives or our best friends' lives or something. We take on the title of I need to do this because they couldn't do this. Or because I am the gifted one, I need to do this because everyone is saying that this is my plan that I need to take. So I did that. I accepted it. I had giftings in fields, and people were saying, well, hey, why don't you just continue on in the family business, if you want to call it that way? And it made sense to me as a kid. Now, I'm not saying there was no that God wasn't involved and God didn't use me, but I see now that I wasn't as passionate about it as my dad. All right, you know what? I'm just gonna be black and white with you guys. I remember a certain situation where, being the pastor's son, I found out, okay, no notes, going off book here, but my siblings can relate to this. I understood and found out really soon is that one thing that I learned is that I had to share my father. He wasn't just my father, he was also the pastor of his congregation. People depended on him. And although I would love to say that we were the only ones that he could take care of, I understood the responsibility that he had towards other people, other families, and I accepted it because I was actually proud that my dad was a pastor. And in our small town, it was something to look up to. And as a kid, you know, he was respected by everyone, a lot of people in city, and a lot of people looked towards him for guidance and leadership. And other leaders, other ministers praised him because he helped train them in their steps. So that's one thing that I will not take away from him. So I looked up to him, and I willingly would sacrifice time, father son time, because I knew he had a higher calling. All right. Now, before you go saying no, that's not a reason why he should fail in his fatherly duties, and I don't think he ever did. But I just understood that I had to share my father. So when I got older, you can imagine the hurt, the pain, the anger that I had when I started hearing rumors of the very people that my father would sacrifice for. My father would go out in the middle of the nights to take care of and pray over and do his pastorly duties. The same people that my dad would take his shirt off his back to help out were the same people that were stabbing in the back. They were uh, gossiping about him. They were defaming him. They were saying all these nasty things about him. And me knowing that I had sacrificed my time so that he could be with them, I took offense. Not even offense, I got angry with the fact that the same people my father's helping were the same ones that were biting the hand that fed them. And I remember one time approaching my dad and like, Dad, we need to preach judgment. We need to pray down fire and brimstone. Bring it down. Well, these people need to pay the price for their rebellion, for their sin. I mean, just like it was in the Bible. And my dad, he just smiled. He looked at me with that loving heart. He goes, Son, that's not what I'm called to do. I'm called to love those who hate me. It's easy to love those who love me, but it's not so easy to love those who hate me. I am the pastor. I am bigger than this. You see, I didn't grasp that. And that should have been like the big red flag. This boy's not called to be a pastor. Now, granted, God has dealt with me, and He's given me a certain love for people, to pour into people. Matter of fact, that's why I believe this is what's kicking off for me, because there is a love for me to be there to help you become a better version of yourself, to help you become what you were created to be. I just wasn't a pastor. I didn't have the same patience that my father has or had at the time to be a pastor. But I continued going, and I went, and I stopped. I was studying actually public speaking and communication, and I was in the middle of getting my associates when I heard the voices around me saying, "Well, what are you doing that for? You need to go to Bible school. You need to do this." And so I did. And again, I love that I went to a Bible university. Nothing ill. I had great memories there, great friendships like Greg Ferguson from last week, Will Baird from the very first Hey Rockstar, or from the very first interview with the Rockstar that I did, amongst other people that to this day I'm still close to them. People that are on the field, and when I run into them, it's like there's a bond there. I am grateful for that, but I never finished my first dream because I adopted what everyone was giving to me. And I went out and I did work. And as I've also shared with you guys, it was towards the end of my fifth term or my fifth year in the mission field where I was burnt out. I was no longer happy. And I couldn't understand why. So, you know what I did? Plan A was sucking for me. It wasn't my plan. So I went ahead and just jumped straight into plan B. Now, a lot of people, B stands for busy. A lot of people think that just because you're busy, you're being successful. So they take on task and take on more task and try to do everything they possibly can, because in their eyes, as long as they're moving and doing something, as long as they're making noise, as long as they are losing sleep, staying up late, waking up early, having all these commitments, overcommitted, double booked, they are successful because they are busy. And that's what I did. I started to try to numb my unhappiness by accepting everything that came to my table. So when I was in the mission field, I was young, I was single, I was full of energy, and I needed to be distracted from that feeling of, did I make a mistake? So I was saying yes to every opportunity that came my way, regardless if I knew I could or couldn't, or if I knew I should or shouldn't, because I was the missionary. I was the one who had the title. So I was constantly traveling. I was constantly pouring. I was constantly teaching. And again, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with any of these things. I mean, I had the giftings, I had the abilities, and I was doing it. And then when I came back, I was trying to constantly find different things to keep my mind occupied, because the truth was, I wasn't happy. I was doing good. I was helping others. I was willing to show a strong work ethic. Just something in me wasn't working. Wasn't doing what I needed it done. And maybe some of you guys are going through the same thing. You finally hit the point where it's just too much. You're overwhelmed. I remember one time when I had several leadership caps in my in my growing up, in my experience, and I started feeling suicidal thoughts. I'm not sure if they're genuine, or it was just the fact that I was just overwhelmed and just looking for some outlet, some way out. And it kind of made me feel crazy. I remember going to my mom, and this is where one of the best quotes she ever told me helped to give me peace from the moment. But I remember telling her, "Mom, there's so much happening. I feel like I'm going crazy. I feel that I'm doing this wrong. I feel that I'm letting this people down. I feel that I'm feeling this, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling this, but I'm just all overall, I feel like I'm going crazy." And she looked at me, and with wisdom, she said, "Son, your relationship with God has nothing to do with feelings. It is by faith." Oh yeah, because I remember saying, "I don't even feel safe, like I'm saved anymore." And that's when she had to give me that nugget of wisdom. I'm like, that changed a lot for me. And I took that with me, began to grow on it. Just because I feel this way doesn't mean who I am. Doesn't really give me the explanation, or doesn't what's the word? Well, basically, yeah, your emotions lie to you. The emotions will constantly lie to you. That's when you have to go by faith, or go by truth. Uh, my pastor, he's got this great saying that I enjoy. He says, "Praise precedes the miracle." But he also said another thing. He goes, you have facts, and then you have truth," meaning the word of God, the truth. Facts state, let's just say facts state, you have incurable disease. But the truth says there's nothing impossible for God. What do you choose to believe? Again, I'm not here to preach healing, and if you don't practice this, you're wrong. I'm just saying that's an extreme example. Sometimes you got to go to extreme examples to just get the point, and then you can simplify it to something more like, bills. The facts are, rent's due tomorrow, and the bank's on red. But truth says he will meet all my need, or he knows my needs. He knows my heart's desires, or he can provide. He is provider. And I've heard stories after stories where miracles happen last minute and the bills are paid or grace is given and such. And so there's stories to back that up. And again, another extreme. But I guess what I'm trying to go with all this, I'm going way on a different tangent. That's what happens when you don't have a lot of notes. You go on a tangent. All that to say that plan B sometimes fails because it's not originally from us. We trying to look busy. We're trying to look the part. We're trying to fake it until we make it. And sometimes it breaks us. Fake it till you make it, or until you break it, or it breaks you. And so I guess we'll go with plan C, right? Plan A, the adopted plan was someone else's idea, not really for me. Plan B, well, let's just force it or keep going. But plan C tends to be a better one because plan C is create. When you get creative, entrepreneur, which is cool. It's really cool, actually, because if you're called to be an entrepreneur, then you're right in your home and you're going there. But some people aren't really called to be an entrepreneur. They don't find anything their passion, or there's no job for them, so they just create something. They create themselves, recreate themselves, or there's constantly coming up with something. Well, obviously, this doesn't fit the pattern, so I need to make something to fit the pattern. And it's cool if you're innovative, but oh, the thought was there and it just left me. It's cool if you're innovative, and if you, a lot of my artist friends don't make that much money, but they're happy. Oh, here's where I wanted to go. The point I was going to go about businesses. If you're an entrepreneur, and entrepreneurs know this, that at least 80% of businesses fail. 80 or 85% of businesses fail. So unless you have that passion to create another business, because if your first business is your baby, your first business is like, oh man, I put my heart and soul in this and it fails. Unless you're a true entrepreneur, well, the statistics say that had 85% this was gonna fail. Well, let's try something else. And let's try something else. And usually it's on the 10th time that the business proceeds and launches, and they build it and they build it and it grows. But you know what the funny thing is? Entrepreneurs don't hold on to that. They build it, they create value, and then they sell it. And then it's in the love of the game, not so much in the business. So you got to know that. You creatives, you create something that should outlast you, or maybe it won't outlast you, but just create knowing that not everyone's going to appreciate it, not everyone's going to respect, not everyone's going to see the value in it, and it could fail. Now, I'm not here to throw a bummer. I'm just saying that's plan C. So now you're like, thanks, Josafat. You just pretty much, if 2020 wasn't bad enough, we got you here preaching, what's the point of having a plan, right? All right. Don't worry, guys. You know that I'm going to give you something to take you home, something that you can enjoy and use. You know what? I might even come up with an acronym for the whole alphabet. A, B, C, D, all the way to Z. But Z kind of fits into the plan that I want to share. Instead of adopting someone else's plan, instead of just trying to fake to make it and act busy the whole time, or instead of trying to create something out of nothing, let me suggest an alternative. And let's call it Plan Me. Go ahead and say it. Plan Me. M-E, me? Yeah, you. Another thing that I've learned, and this goes back to everything that Hey Rockstar is trying to do, promote adding value to you. Because I was listening to another talk. And the funny thing is, now as I listen to these people who are advocates for change in life, advocates for building confidence, advocates for creating something better, everyone says the same thing. And there's something that was in me, that was in my head, and like, all right, cool, we're on the same mind wave. The easiest way to create change, the easiest way to create confidence is to focus first on your identification, on your ID. Who is you? Who are you? ¿Quién eres? Even in my faith, I remember one time I went to this, they invited me to go to speak at a youth Sunday school at this Baptist church. And I was just talking and sharing my stories and my moments with God and the jokes that I was cracking up with Jesus and Holy Spirit. And because he has a great sense of humor, y'all. We have fun and we laugh all day long. But anyway, I was just talking about just my quality time and just the growth that I've had in my walk. And then the leader of the class interrupted me and said, Josafat, I need you to explain something to me because I can see it in my students. They kind of don't understand this. And he's like, and I must admit, I don't really understand this either. But he's like, but you talk about God in such an intimate way. It's like you really know him. How did you get there? And it threw me off because to me, it's just something that I just assumed every believer knew how to do, how to have a relationship. And I had to stop and think, and not so much stop and think, but I just kind of looked and smiled like, well, it's easy. It starts with your identification, with your ID. And they looked at me like, huh? What? And so I'm like, all right, all right. One of my favorite verses is First John, no, yeah, First John chapter 4, verse 17. And I'm going to paraphrase it, but basically it says God's love is perfected in us, that we can enter with confidence before the throne, because just as Jesus is, so are we on this earth. I said that, I quoted it to them, and you could see just kind of glazed over them. They're like, what? And so I asked them a question that an evangelist once asked me, and I love to use this to people, like, well, what do you think God sees when he looks at you? And I looked at everyone and I tried to meet someone's eyes and like, you want to tell me? Anyone want to be brave enough to share? And they were like, no, no, no. I remember one of my boys, Mateo, we had that same conversation. I asked him and he told me the most beautiful thing. He's like, I feel when God looks at me, he sees like this little plant that unfortunately was buried under the cement sidewalk. But I found a crack and I'm breaking through. I'm making my way just to grow a little bit. And although I'm small and puny, I'm doing my best, but I'm making it my way through that crack. That's how I feel God is seeing me. And I looked at him and I said, I'm like, that's the most beautiful explanation, but you're wrong. Don't be offended. It's like, all I heard is God sees me, 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 me. And it's true. But honestly, when God looks at us, according to what my understanding of scripture, he sees Jesus Christ. He sees his son, Jesus. I'm not perfect, but I was made perfect because of Jesus. I'm not innocent, but I was made innocent because of Jesus. I'm not clean, but I can be because of Jesus. Therefore, I can go with confidence, with boldness before the throne of God, because just as Jesus is, so am I on this earth. Not when I get to heaven. Right now, I am like Jesus in my Father's eyes. So I can go with confidence. I can go with boldness. There is no condemnation for me because I am in Christ. Ooh, I can preach. But I use that to repeat, because now this is about you and your life plans. And some of you probably are not Bible thumping people, but someone needed to hear that. Your value begins with your identification, the way you see yourselves. And again, like I shared back in, I want to say, wing it like a rock star. How to wing it like a rock star. You can't put out what you don't put in. That's why my show is all about giving value to you guys so that you can bring in, store it up, use it, sit on it, so that then whenever you're ready, you'll grow physically, you'll grow mentally, spiritually, financially, and socially. You'll grow in these areas. And the more you grow, the more value you have to offer. Your identification begins to change, because your identification right now is tied up with the failure. What do you do Well, I was working here, but corona. I'm not gonna say it because I might get booted off. But because pandemic. Well, I was a musician. I was an actor. But because pandemic. You see, we tie our identification with that. Well, guess what? Plan A, plan B, plan C, all the way to Z. That stopped working. Plan life right now did not work. So we need to get rid of that identification. We need to put on a new person, transfer our thoughts, change our way of thinking, become someone of value. Pour into yourself. Start adding disciplines in every area. If you haven't decided what you're going to do, you can borrow my big five. Physically, start eating healthy, start sleeping right, start doing physical activity, work yourself, get yourself stronger, because that also gives you the confidence that you need to change, to try, to adapt, to do things physically, spiritually. Again, find peace, get out of your head. Or actually, I'm about to go into the head, but get out of your past and get into a spiritual, just a balance in you. And there's different ways. Like, hey, I have my faith, and I will share that with you. But spirituals also has to do with just being in unison with your surrounding, with people around you, with your animals or whatever. Anyway, I'm not here to go into that. Whatever spiritual you can do for you, mentally, that's the hard one. You got to learn how to become mentally tough. Now here's the deal, it's kind of opposite. You're looking for peace, but now you also need to challenge yourself. You need to stretch yourself. You need to do a little bit of the hard. You need to do a little bit of the suck. Like Greg shared last time, you need to willingly go in knowing that you're going to fail, just to get that out of the way. Get out of your head, I'm going to fail this so I can celebrate and become stronger, because that which doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It's either a victory or a life lesson, but just do something about it. Financially or socially. This one's going to be a little harder for some people too. Although I taught you guys the secret art of making friends. But here's another thing, and I shared this with you guys. There's some ties, there's some relationships that you need to get rid of. I don't care how close you are to your boy, to your homie, to your best friend. If they have decided in their life, if they have resolved to not do anything with themselves, if they've resolved to be the laziest, to be the unhealthiest, to be the person who doesn't grow up, if they've resolved to not produce, then they're going to be a hindrance to your growth. I know we got to love them, and we can love them, but you can't be crippled by them, because that affects your temperature. You are the average of the 5 people you hang around the most. Your temperature changes. You remember when Alex was talking about how you got to recalibrate your temperature. Your temperature changes with the people that you surround yourself around. And if your closest mates don't have anything going for them, sorry, I love you guys, but I need to start hanging out with people who are of value, people who are producing, people who are where I want to be. See, I just took a 3-month break from a lot of friends because I'm working on building my business as a Keynote, and I'm now rubbing elbows with people who have made it, with some successful speakers. I'm loving the conversations I'm having. I'm loving the way they're growing. They're challenging me to grow beyond me. It's amazing. So to grow socially, you need to start bringing in people of value, seeking people of value, reading the lives of people of value. And financially, it's time to get off your ego. Now, I'm not here to say, well, you got to become a billionaire, or you got to, oh, that'd be nice. And if you do, remember your boy, send me a little love offering or whatever. But you gotta take responsibility for your financial being. Now, sometimes we need help, and it's good, But don't let that be the only thing you depend on. As long as you breathe, as long as you have hands, as long as you have feet, as long as you have youth, or just you're able to move, do a job. And if that's not enough, get a second job till you enough to cover the bills, and then start working on creating and educating yourself and creating a hustle, something on the side, something that you can continue to build in hopes that it will become financially stable enough to 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 eventually where you don't become dependent on the jobs that are paying the bills, and this your hustle will be enough to cover that. But don't stop there. Learn how to invest, learn how to create with money, learn all these things. It's little steps, things that I have to learn, because whenever I lost the dream job that I had, apparently it sucked. Thankfully I had reserves and that helped me out, but eventually I ran out. It's been almost a year now since they've closed, and they still haven't reopened to rehire the people that. And you know what? I'm sad because I know that some people are waiting for them to reopen so they can go back because they enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it too. But I'm moving on. I'm moving on to build this, building my community, building the Rockstar network, creating value, building my public speaking business, creating value. And you know what? The job that I have right now as a delivery person for them, I'm also building value with them because I'm a marketer for them. I'm introducing new business for them, and I'm getting residual off of my earnings with that. So it's just awesome. It's all about I don't want just them to give me a paycheck. I want to be able to grow their business for them while I'm learning these skills and I'm building my own business. Anyway, I'm not gonna get into all that. I'm just saying, because the time is leaving us quickly, and I left you with plan me. I got it, Josafat. Plan me, identity, work on right here. Let's do this. This is where I need to start. But I kind of need more than just to eat, take. And it's true. So plan me is basically 2 points. And yes, I use an acronym, M and E. They stand for something. It's just 2 steps you got to take. And let me tell you this. It's easy, but at the same time, it's hard. It's easy that what it requires doesn't take much. But the hard part is you got to stick to it for it to work. You got to be faithful to it because the results won't happen right away. And matter of fact, the results might not happen by next week or by next month, but give it a year at least. And if you've stuck with it, I can almost guarantee that the person you see a year from now will be light years ahead of the person you see today in the mirror. And that's something. Because a year later, I am someone totally different than who I was 1 year ago. I'm healthier, I'm stronger, I've had more value, and doors are opening up. It's getting good for me. First step, M, meditate. Ay, Josafat, you're at it again. You just want us to go spend all our time just sitting down going, I am a rock star. I am all about this cool stuff. The ghosts are trying to get into my house. Just kidding. Just the Holy Ghost in here. I am the greatest. I am the greatest. No. I'm not speaking affirmations, although there is a time and place for working on like your morning formula and building things into you. No, this is more of a self-search. You need to, and the best way to do this kind of meditation is to ask yourself questions. For example, and as you go with time, you're going to develop other questions. But the first question you might want to ask, what makes me happy? What am I good at? What do I see around me? Where do I want to be? Are there needs in my community that I can help with? Is there anything that I could do to help anyone? What do I have in my hands that I can use? What can I do right now What could be a good step for me to start doing something greater? And as you're writing these things down or thinking about them, you might be meditating, thinking about it, or writing it out to just like get it out of your head and be able to process it. Or you can type it out, these questions. Ideas are going to start popping into your head from within. Because remember, you've added value. And that value is now getting a chance to fester and sit in you and ferment into something richer. These crazy ideas are going to pop up. These next steps are going to be like, ooh, I could try this. I could do this. There's this need. I could totally help out with that need. And then you go on to step 2, the E. Execute those ideas. Try it. Do it. Attempt it. No matter how simple or how foolish, how crazy, if it's within your ability to do it, do it. Try it. Execute it. Take that first step forward into this crazy new idea of Plan Me. And if it's just one step you can do, sometimes it might be 2 or 3 steps, woo. But whatever, even if it's just one, even if it's just half a step, you made a movement. Then Plan Me is on a loop. That's right. Now you're here, just a little further. All right, now stop and ask, okay, where am I now? Does this make me happy? Cool. All right, well, I answered this question, or I helped this need. What other needs can I help out? Or what's next? What opportunities did this open up for me? Who did I meet in this? Ooh, who are they? What can I do? Where can I help? What else can I do now? Meditate. And another idea, another crazy habit, or another something, a thing's gonna pop up, and you're like, ooh, I want to try this. And then you go to step 2, and then you execute that. And then you execute another one. And then you stop there and you meditate, ask the questions, all right, where am I now? Am I still happy? Is this going good? What did I learn from this? What did I learn from the mistakes? Ooh, I made a mistake. All right, cool. What did I learn? How did I grow? What can I do differently? What other needs have opened up because of this? Or what other opportunities have opened up that I can meet, that I can try, and then you keep going. And then you execute. And then you repeat and meditate. And then you execute. And what you start to create is inertia, momentum. You start moving. But you're not adopting someone else's plan. You're not moving forward in another person's plan. You're not moving forward just for the sake of being busy. And you're not moving forward just because it's a creative thing to do. No, you're moving forward because you're now implementing Plan Me, Plan You. And you are building something different, something new from what you're pouring in. And then the more value you add, the more opportunities that you give your brain to think about as you start asking these questions. You know what? First step, get a journal, y'all. Get a journal. I mean, the phone's cool, but get a journal and start writing these questions down and answering yourself whenever you take that first step, and stop and breathe. And if you can just implement a little change every day, if you can practice this every day, meditate in the morning, then execute that day what you've resolved to do. And then write whatever down. Next morning, meditate, or at nights, you meditate, write what you want to plan, and then execute. Every day, do that. In 1 year, right now, this date, put down 3/19/21. I begin Plan Me. Meditate, then execute. Now, sometimes you're going to need help. Look me up, call me up, send me messages. If this is any value to you guys, please let me know. Because this has really turned me on. Whenever this started hitting me, I'm like, this is gold for me. This is something that I want to use. And I know if it's something important to me, then it's something I want others to also be able to use. Man, that was a good show. Good times. So when Plan A or Plan Z, and we'll see Plan Z, I was like, it's seek the Zen. But basically, Zen is meditation. Seek that unity. Seek that affirmation. But yeah, I gave you a lot of value tonight, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this. And honestly, I want to hear critique about this. I'm going to work on this. I'm going to add more examples. I'm going to add more value that people can use to run with, because this is what I'm going to be sharing. Hi. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Of course, I'm going to have to condense it. Oh, man, people are already leaving just because I said the end. Y'all, before I go, just a shout out to Low Budget Productions. I know Joe already stopped watching me because tonight was the Snyder release edition of the Justice League. I'll probably watch it Saturday because the rest of this week I am busy with work and with building the business. But LBP, Low Budget Productions, just go check them out. Do the thing, y'all. Share the love. Shout out to Dr. Dudley, who said he's going to check this out. And he actually wants to be on the show. I would love to bring that doctor in here because we had a good conversation today. And he dived in deep. And when I looked at his stuff, not only is he a doctor, he's also a motivational speaker. Like, ooh, of course you would fall into my window. Of course you would enter into my frame, because I'm setting myself up to attract people of value. Rockstar. The reason I'm in your frame right now is because you're setting yourself up to attract people of value. That's why you drew me towards you. Maybe that's why I'm drawing you towards me. So let's rock this world together. All right. So it's a good show. I'm getting hungry, so I need to go find dinner. So let's pull up Miguel one more time. Boom. It's Miguel. And I'm Josafat Emiliano. Josafat Asombroso Emiliano. Thanking you all for spending this evening with us this Thursday. Podcast will be released on Monday. Actually, this is a good one. I encourage you guys to share this and rewatch it with everyone. Please share it. If this gave you value, share it with everyone else, please. Let them know that I'm here to serve. All right. Well, all the way from Nashville, Tennessee, I'm Josafat Emiliano. That's Miguel. Thank you for letting me or letting us into your homes. Thank you for letting us into your cars. Thank you for letting us into your hearts. Until next time, much love and many blessings.